uh, realization does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes the way dawn comes, not announced, not dramatic in the moment of its happening, just a slow, inevitable brightening of something that was always going to become visible once the conditions were right, once the night had run its course. Once the distance created enough perspective for the shape of things to become clear, someone is in the middle of that brightening right now. And what is becoming clear to them in the slow and slightly devastating way of a truth that has been present all along and is only now being fully seen is the size of what they have in you. Or more precisely, the size of what they stand to lose. I want to start here in the exact texture of this realization as it is happening, not after it is completed, not in the clean, resolved version where someone has fully understood something and integrated it and arrived at a clear position about what to do with it in the middle of it. In the uncomfortable, slightly breathless, quietly alarming middle of a realization that is still arriving, that keeps arriving, that surfaces in unexpected moments and refuses to be filed neatly away and returns with more clarity each time it comes back, as if it is gathering evidence, building its own case, becoming more certain of its own conclusion. With every iteration, this is where this person is, in the middle of understanding something about you that they should have understood before now. And the middle of understanding it is not comfortable. The first image arrives, and it has a quality of ordinary light that feels almost too simple for the weight of what it is describing. I see someone walking through a space that is familiar, a space they have moved through many times before, a route, an environment, a context that has been part of the texture of their regular life, and they are moving through it now the way they always have. With the automatic ease of someone in a familiar place, their attention not particularly engaged, because familiar places do not require particular engagement. And then something catches, a detail, something small, something that in 100 previous passages through this same space did not register at all. And this time, for reasons they could not fully explain if asked, it registers completely, it lands. It produces in them a thought they were not expecting to have in this particular moment, in this particular ordinary place. A thought about you, specifically about something you would have noticed here, something you would have said. The precise quality of attention you would have brought to this detail that they only just noticed themselves, which you would have noticed long ago, probably the first time, probably without making a point of it, because noticing things is simply what you do, and you do not make a performance of what is natural. And the thought produces something, a pang, small but precise, the specific feeling of reaching for something and finding it absent. The particular quality of missing that belongs not to the general experience of missing a person, but to the acute experience of missing a person's specific quality, their specific presence. The irreplaceable and particular way they occupied space and attention and the texture of an ordinary day, that pang is the beginning. Let me describe the process of this realization more precisely. Because it is not happening in a single moment, it is accumulating. And the way it accumulates is specific to this person's particular psychology, and I want to name it because I think it is something you deserve to understand. It is happening through comparison, not conscious, deliberate comparison, the involuntary kind. The kind where the mind sets two things side by side without asking permission, and the contrast produces information that the analytical layer then has to decide what to do with. This person is in their life, moving through it, engaging with the things and the people and the circumstances that constitute their current daily existence. And the mind, without their instruction, keeps placing you next to things, next to people, next to moments, next to the quality of certain interactions and the texture of certain experiences. And every time it does this, every time it runs this comparison that was never requested, the result is the same. You are better, not in a general, vague, hard to articulate way, in the specific, evidence-based, here is exactly why way that makes the conclusion impossible to dismiss as sentiment or nostalgia or the distorting lens of distance. In the way where what was available with you, the quality of it, the depth of it, the specific and rare and genuinely difficult to find elsewhere nature of it, is being made visible through the contrast with what is available without you. You are being understood through your own absence. I want to speak about what specifically they are realizing they are losing, because it is not one thing, it is several things arriving in succession, each one adding weight to a recognition that is becoming harder to carry lightly. The first thing is your steadiness. The quality you have of being reliably, genuinely, without performance or fluctuation, yourself, the way your presence in a dynamic creates a kind of stability that this person did not identify as something they were depending on until it was no longer available. The way knowing what they were going to get from you, not in the boring sense of predictability, but in the deep sense of consistency, produced a safety in them that they only notice now as its absence. The second thing is your standard, the way being around you raised something, required something, called something forward in them that was not called forward in other contexts. Not in the demanding way, not in the way of someone who imposes their standards on others, in the way of someone whose own standard of engagement is high enough that it produces a corresponding elevation in whoever is genuinely paying attention. They were better in the presence of your expectation of quality, even though that expectation was never stated, never wielded as a pressure. They are not better right now. They can feel the difference. And the third thing, the one that is landing with the most weight, is your irreplaceability. The dawning understanding that what you brought was not a category of thing that can be substituted, that the search for something equivalent has not been successful because equivalence was never going to be found, that what you are is specific in a way that specificity resists replacement, that the particular configuration of qualities that constitutes you does not exist in another person, that whoever they encounter and however those encounters go, they are not going to find the thing they are increasingly understanding they let walk out of their life. That understanding is building. Every day it builds. Tell me in the comments whether you have felt this person's energy shifting, whether something in a specific direction has changed in quality or frequency or the particular texture of whatever contact or proximity exists between you. Because realization of this kind produces changes in behavior that are often small, but that are detectable to someone with your level of perception, a change in how they communicate, a shift in the quality of attention, an effort that was not there before or that has a different character now from how it felt previously. Tell me if you have noticed something. You do not have to interpret it. Just tell me if something has been different. I see a second image now that carries the weight of this reading in a very particular way. I see a photograph, not a physical one, the mental kind, the specific and vivid snapshot that a mind produces when it is in the process of retrospective understanding. When it is going back through a shared history with new eyes and seeing things that the original experience of living through that history did not make visible. This person is looking at photographs, moving through memories the way you move through an album, stopping at certain ones, holding certain ones longer than others, returning to certain ones repeatedly. And what they see in these mental photographs is not what they thought they were looking at when the original moments were happening. They see you more clearly. The specific things you did that they received without full understanding at the time. The quality of care you brought to moments they were not paying sufficient attention to. The ways you showed up that they did not recognize as showing up because they did not yet have the baseline understanding of what showing up actually looks like that they are developing now in retrospect. Through the absence of it, they are seeing the photographs differently. And the person in them, Virgo, the specific and actual and full-dimensional you that is present in every image, is someone they are encountering with a clarity they did not have when they were standing next to you. That clarity is the gift of the distance, and it is costing them something to receive it. I want to say something about regret that I have not said in any of the previous readings in this series. Regret is only possible about things that mattered. You cannot regret losing something you did not value. You cannot feel the specific, pointed, this particular loss quality of regret about something that was interchangeable or replaceable or whose departure did not change the landscape. Regret requires uniqueness. It requires the specific. It requires that the lost thing was itself and not a category of thing, that its absence is felt as a particular shape in the space it left rather than a general gap. The fact that this person is moving toward regret about you is not a statement about your loss. It is a statement about your irreplaceability. The regret is not comfortable information. I am not offering it as comfort in the ordinary sense. I am offering it as accurate information about what your existence and your specific qualities mean to someone who is only now in the particular and unsparing clarity of your absence and fully understanding what they were in the presence of. You were in the presence of something rare. That sentence works in both directions. The third image is the one that has been sitting at the back of this entire reading, patient, waiting for its moment. I see a hand reaching late, in the specific way of reaching for something after the moment when the reaching would have been received differently, after the window that was open has partly closed, not all the way, but enough that the reaching now carries an awareness of its own belatedness, a quality of knowing that this should have happened sooner, that the moment this reaching is trying to access has moved, that what is available now is not identical to what was available before. This hand is reaching for you. And what I want to speak to is what you do when you feel it, because you will feel it. If you have not already, you will. The reaching produces something in the field between two people that registers before it becomes explicit. You will know it is happening. You may have already known. And the question that this reading is really asking underneath everything else is not about them at all. It is about you. Who are you now compared to who you were when this dynamic was in a different place? What do you know about yourself that you did not know then? What does your own clarity tell you about what this reaching means and what, if anything, you want to do with it? Because the reaching is not the ending of this story. You are the ending of this story. Your response, your choice, your decision about what this realization from someone who is realizing late is worth to you in the specific context of where your life is now and where it is going is where this reading is actually pointing, not toward them, toward you. I want to spend the final part of this reading here with you in the question of what you do with someone else's realization. Because there is a version of receiving this information that goes toward waiting, toward holding the space open, toward allowing the time for this person to complete the process of understanding what they had and arrive at whatever action that understanding eventually produces. And there is another version, a version that says, I hear this, I see this, I understand what is happening, and I honor the reality of it. And I am also simultaneously continuing to move, continuing to build, continuing to become, not in a way that is designed to be observed or that performs indifference or that is organized around the outcome of whatever this person eventually does. Just continuing, because that is what you do, because the life you are building does not pause for other people's realizations, however significant those realizations are, because you have been in motion and the motion is yours and it belongs to you, regardless of what anyone else is in the process of understanding. The most powerful thing you can do with someone else's dawning recognition of your value is simply continue to demonstrate why the recognition is accurate. Not for them, for the life you are actually living, which has always been the more interesting story. You are the type of person someone will regret losing. That is a fact, a specific, evidence-based, not dependent on this person's eventual conclusion fact about who you are. And it will be true whether or not they say it, whether or not the realization produces action, whether or not the hand reaches far enough to actually make contact. Your value is not contingent on their recognition of it. It precedes their recognition. It will outlast whatever they decide to do with it. And the life in front of you, the one that is already in motion, already building, already becoming more itself in every season that passes, regardless of who is paying attention to it. That life is not organized around being recognized. It is organized around being lived fully in the specific and extraordinary way that only you live it. Keep going.